诸位之臣，礼佛行三问讯礼，一问讯。南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛，般若波罗蜜多心经，观自在菩萨行深般若波罗蜜多时，照见五蕴皆空，度一切苦厄。舍利子，色不异空，空不异色，色即是空，空即是色，受想行识亦复如是。舍利子，是诸法空相，不生不灭，不垢不净，不增不减。是故空中无色，无受想行识，无眼耳鼻舌身意，无色声香味触法，无眼界乃至无意识界，无明亦无明尽，乃至无老死亦无老死尽，无苦集灭道，无智亦无得，亦无所得，故菩提萨埵依般若波罗蜜多故，心无挂碍，无挂碍故，无有恐怖远离颠倒梦想，究竟涅槃三世诸佛，依般若波罗蜜多故，得阿耨多罗三藐三菩提。故知般若波罗蜜多是大神咒，是大明咒，是无上咒，是无等等咒，能一切苦真实不虚。故说般若波罗蜜多咒，即说咒曰：揭谛揭谛，波罗揭谛，波罗僧揭谛，菩提萨婆诃。Good morning, brothers and sisters. How are you all today? Good? Which lesson is it already? Fourth lesson, huh? And we are still on the first line. Going a bit fast this time, huh? No. So, how is the homework? Have you all submitted your homework? Some of you have emailed me your homework. Some of you have not. Yeah, so last week we finally had our laksa. So do you all have laksa since then? Is laksa tasty? The tastiness of laksa well, depends on several conditions. Depends on several conditions. Okay, this is another visualizer. So, in case if I write out of the screen, please let me know. Okay. Long time never used this. Which? This side is black and white. Oh. We usually have the class in classroom 9. Yeah, but because the classroom 9 isn't cleared on time. Yeah. The 1st of Jan, we have the alms offering. So the pile, the mountain of Milo, some have been distributed. Yeah, but some are still awaiting redistribution. Yeah. Okay, come. So laksa. We went through the taste, we went through the name, we went through the body itself. Yeah, remember? A show of hands, how many of you couldn't make it last week? Oh, you all missed the laksa. Wow. Wow, kosio. Have you all gone through the laksa explanation before? The whole 10 weeks, that was the essence. Huh? Oh, what happened? Cannot. Is it wash out? Huh? Blur, is it? Blur then is just the focusing over there. Maybe it's the focusing over there. Yeah. Huh? Better, huh? Okay. So how? Should we let them have the laksa? But instead of me explaining, you all explain. The rest who are here can explain. No, we'll do a quick recap, okay? Yeah, they have a full bowl of laksa, you have a 5-minute laksa, okay? Instant laksa. So, anybody would like to come and lead in the guided reflection? Okay, so the question is whether laksa is tasty. Yeah, we start out with that. And then I ask the question, whether if for those who find that it's tasty, do you think that laksa have tastiness? Yeah, remember? Maybe we use something else, so they can apply it themselves later. We will explain this thing again, yeah, but using something else. Let's use a chair. Can use a chair. We can use anything. Okay. Did you go back and do your exercise? How many of y'all did the reflection thing? Do you all remember that there was an exercise? Remember there was an exercise at the end of the class I mentioned? Yeah. We have gone through the laksa, then you go back, and then you're supposed to identify either 人, 事 or 物. Yeah. But I mentioned about start off with 事物. Yeah, so that it's not so emo, directly. Remember? Yeah. And then you're supposed to do the same analysis and contemplation on 事物, on people, no, not on people, but on things and events. Yeah. Then you're supposed to write it down. Writing it down is helpful because at an initial stage, if you do a reflection directly, sometimes you can spin out of control and go all over the place. But if you were to write it down, you have something to refer to, then you know what you have covered already. Yeah. Otherwise, you just keep going in circles, Yeah. So it can be laksa, it can be any food you want. Yeah. It can be a chair even. So let's just use a chair, okay? Is the chair comfortable? Is the chair that you are sitting in comfortable? Comfortable? How many of you think it's comfortable? Raise your hand. How many of you don't think it's comfortable? Now this is the kind of McDonald's chair. It's not supposed to sit for long. How many of you find that, well, it's okay, but not too comfortable, not too uncomfortable? Okay. So, in the same vein, as we went through the laksa, then we asked this question. Does each of these chair contain comfortableness? Does it contain comfortableness? Those who find that it's comfortable may or may not say that it has comfortableness. Yeah? But if it has comfortableness, then everybody should find it comfortable, regardless. Yeah, but if there's no comfortableness inside, then what are you experiencing when you find it comfortable? Yeah. So does it have or not? Then we go further and say, okay, if we were to get you to sit still, without moving, just by a slight change, and then get you to sit in a chair for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours without moving, is it still comfortable? How many of you would find it comfortable? Nobody, otherwise we'll tie you up and then so that's just by making a small adjustment, suddenly that is not comfortable anymore. Yeah. But what if you were standing for 3 hours? Yeah, standing for a long time. Then after that, we offer you the seats. Those who don't find this comfortable, what if we make you stand for 3 hours, then offer you the seat? Would it be comfortable? Probably so. Yeah. We can go through quite a bit of different scenarios, and you may find that whether the seat is comfortable depends on many, many factors, much like the tastiness of the laksa. Yeah. It is not by itself comfortable or not comfortable. It does depend on us, maybe even our mental state. I can't really think of a mental state that will make it uncomfortable. Maybe if your boss send you a message and ask to see you, in a very curt manner, then you go to the office and then your boss have a letter in front of him and then asks you sit down. Usually when you go to his room and if you sit down, you find that it's okay, but that day, and then he just look at you. So do you think you have been performing? Yeah. And then what if, after a while, when you find it so uncomfortable, then suddenly your boss say, well, let me tell you, you have been performing. And this is your 2 months variable bonus. Wow. Do you think the chair is comfortable? Very comfortable. Sometimes bosses like to pull a fast one on us. So the chair, whether it's comfortable or not, like the laksa, whether it's tasty or not, it depends on many factors. Depends on us, the state of our mind, even our physical well-being. Even our physical well-being. If we have been standing, then it's comfortable. But if, let's say, if we have pulse, that may not be the most comfortable thing. Or maybe we have been, we went for an operation or something, then suddenly it's not comfortable anymore. So usually in terms of this feature portion, it's not so difficult. But how about the name? Name is also fairly easy. Is it inherently a chair? Not inherently a chair. What do you call this? Huh? It's called a chair. It's just not inherently called a chair. It is not a chair, that's why it's called a chair. It is just called a chair. You know what I mean? It is just called a chair. 只是叫做椅子，但是不是椅子。It's because it's not a chair, that's why it has to be called a chair. If it's a chair, it's really a chair by itself, there's no need to call it a chair anymore. It's a chair. Can you understand? No, not trying to be Zenish here. There was one day, I was near Serangoon, several years back. And I wasn't in particular, doing some chim reflection or whatever. I think I was with my parents and they were driving me, I think, back to their place to do some offering or something. And then, PIE. PIE at some point, there's one slip route that goes into like Serangoon or something. So then as I was looking at the signboard, I was thinking, precisely because Serangoon is not Serangoon. That's why it's called Serangoon. Think about it, right? Think about it. Do you know where Serangoon is? When you're in Serangoon, how do you know that it's Serangoon? Huh? Because it's called Serangoon. Well, now everybody can give the modern answer. In fact, sometimes it's true, especially if you go to places like Punggol. The Punggol has very interesting naming. Punggol, what are the names there? H-View. Like if you take out all those signboards, right? The road signs, and you stand there and you stare at the block without the block number, how do you know where you are? In fact, it applies to everywhere else, practically everywhere else as well. Think about it. Yeah. You may say that surely there are some places that is that accent. Like you may say Eiffel Tower. If you see Eiffel Tower, confirm, you know that it's Paris. No, but it's not true. There are a lot of replicas all over the world, and if they want to, they can really put in a lot of effort to really put in all the detail, the weathering and everything, all the works. And if you were to just stare at that place, that spot, how do you know? When you look up down at the tile, how do you know that this is Gongming San? In fact, honestly speaking, there was one day, another time, I was in Beijing. So this devotee brought me to this very amazing vegetarian restaurant. It has a backyard and all the works, full enchilada. And so we were after lunch, we were like walking around, and I was like staring on the ground, and suddenly this came to me. It's like, if you just stare at this place, how do you know that you are not in Singapore? You really have no idea. So if you have other factors, like the weather, for example, Singapore is super humid, almost 100% humidity. What else? What other factors? Language, the smell. Is that a Singapore smell? But if you think about it, any of this can be replicated. Any of this can be replicated. If you talk about humidity, some parts of Taiwan is as humid as Singapore, if not more humid. Yeah, some parts, not all. Okay, some seasons, some parts. In US, like Florida, in some parts of the year, can be similar to Singapore in some ways. Yeah, but only for certain duration of time. I leave it to you all to go and reflect and to go and observe. Is there anything uniquely belonging to a place that through which you say this is it? Because if that's the case, if we come back to the chair, if there's anything that can make it this way or that way, then that itself is the chair. Yeah. If there's anything inside the laksa that makes it laksa, then that itself is laksa, nothing else. Because it doesn't require anything else. Yeah. If you say that this tile itself is Gongming San, then everything else, you don't need anything else. Yeah. But the funny thing about our observation is that it is a combination of many other factors. Yeah. Not just the infrastructure, but the smell. I've been to many countries. It's true that in some countries there's a different smell. Maybe it's the lack of smell. Yeah, Singapore is a very sterile country in some ways. So a combination of all these factors, then you say that together we say this is Singapore. Only when all the factors come together. But yet, in any of this factor, you cannot find, you cannot say that this itself is Singapore. Because if you say that this itself is Singapore, then you don't need anything else. But you find that all the ingredients, much like laksa, okay, much like laksa, all the sub-ingredients through which we have laksa is not laksa. Let me show you the slide. Where's the slide? Is there laksa here? Ah, yes. So if you go through the ingredients of laksa, you find that within the ingredients you cannot find anything that is uniquely laksa. Yeah? You can find any of these ingredients in any other kind of food. Yeah. So you have a collection of non-laksa ingredients coming together to form laksa. What a strange world we live in. Yeah. And at the same time, it's still not laksa. That's why we have to call it laksa. But how about a chair? A chair is a chair, you know. We've gone through the comfortableness of the chair. The name itself is not strictly a chair. You can call it something else. Yeah? Like gaoyi, for example. Yeah? If it's meant to be called a chair, then when we are young, our parents should say, when we ask our parents, Ma, 这是什么? Then our mothers should say, 这是 chair. But of course, some of our mothers maybe do say that. Yeah, but that wouldn't be Hokkien, isn't it? Yeah? Yeah. Then in school, our teacher will be like, 各位小朋友们，今天我们来学习，这个是桌子，这个是 chair. But because it's not inherently chair, so in different languages, it's expressed differently. The best thing is, even as we all agree to naming it chair, it's still not chair. It's still not. Because anytime you want, it becomes a table. To small kids, it's still not a chair, it's still not a table. And that is why you often see small kids standing up on chairs. It's a playground. You notice that? Kids, you ask them to sit down, then they sit forward. They will only follow your instructions for a while, just to... Yeah. But then, to them it's like, this... it's the whole world is a playground. I remember that's my world, when I was a kid. The whole world is a playground. Anything is a toy. Everything and anything is a toy. It's that this is a chair is a human convention. In almost the whole of the animal kingdom, no animals use chair. No animal spend a lot of time to make a chair to sit down. They just sit anywhere. Chair is a human convention. Now, but even within this convention, if you look at this chair, a chair typically has a few bodily structure. Yeah, it must have legs, and then it must have a platform for you to sit. A chair must have a backrest. Without a backrest, it's a stool. Oh, steady. Yes. If it's long enough for a few persons to sit, then it's called a bench. And if it has rest for arms, it's called an armchair. And if it rocks, it's called a rocking chair. But I take this chair, for example. What is the function of a chair? It's to sit. Let me demonstrate the process of sitting down. Now you can sit. This same chair, if I were to take it apart, you still have the same parts. Yeah? There are 6 different cross Phillips screws. Phillips screws refer to the crosshead screws. Yeah. If I remove the crosshead screws, I remove the seat, and then I put it on the ground. I assemble the whole thing. Is it still a chair? You can still say that it's a seat, but it's no longer a chair. It doesn't have the base anymore. Yeah. So even with the parts, That is a seat, not a chair anymore. and I'm not trying to just split hairs here, but it is a truth, isn't it? Now, if I were to, you may say, but Sifu, you're breaking it down, no? But that's the thing. Just having the components itself is insufficient. It must be assembled in a certain way. Much like laksa and its ingredients. If you just throw everything in, and you have the fire next to it, but you don't put it together, then you have longgang zui, Then what if you take this chair, and you leave it this way? Is it still a chair? Well, it looks like a chair, but it cannot function as a chair. Can it function as a chair? It cannot function as a chair, because you can't sit on it as a chair. So the function itself requires the seat, the whole assembly, to be assembled in a certain way and then placed in an upright position. So if you ever have to depend on writing a technical manual, instruction manual for your life, if let's say ever someone say, if you don't write a technical manual for a chair properly, I'm going to kill you. Or if your boss ever say, I'll give you 2 months bonus if you can write me a full technical manual on usage of a chair. You must remember, chair must be put upright. So, this chair is not inherently a chair, both in feature, whether it's comfortable or not, and even function. Yeah, function as a chair, the essence, the body, yeah, and even the name. Just like the laksa, in terms of the feature and function, for laksa, function as food. There are those who are allergic to certain food. Then it's not food for them. It is poison. Yeah. For some who don't like the taste, yeah, or who just don't like spicy food so much, if you get the kids to eat laksa, some kids, it's not food for them, it's torture. Yeah. The last thing I want to talk about chairs is look at your Dharma friend next to you. Yeah. If I were to ask all of you in alternate sequence, one to stand, one to sit, okay? And then for the one who is standing to sit down on the chair next to you, can you sit down on it? Like, can I sit on this chair? Can I still sit on this chair? Can it function as a chair to me? No, isn't it? So chairs in general have this other feature. It can only function as a chair to one person at a time, usually. Yeah. So when we say that something is like that, we say that it is dependent on conditions to arise, to exist. Yeah? And that is called 缘起有. 缘起有. And because within all its parts, you cannot find any inherent quality or any inborn quality, innate characteristics. So it is empty of these qualities. And so we say that it's empty of inherent nature, it is empty. Yeah? 自性空. 缘起有，自性空. Now if we were to then bring this back to the sutra, 观自在菩萨行深般若波罗蜜多时，照见无蕴皆空，度一切苦厄. Here I want to highlight something. In most, if not all, the Heart Sutra classes, there are students who ask me, is this sutra spoken by the Buddha or Guanzi Pusa? Yeah. So I've often explained that, according to my teacher, my teacher says that it is spoken by the Buddha. But from my own search in the Chinese Mahayana canon, there are various different translations, at least 6 and above different translations. And if you look at the translations, it doesn't exactly say so. Yeah. But I must admit, I usually gloss over this part. Yeah. And some of you may have, did you say that? Yeah. I usually would just touch on it and just move on. Because to me, precisely whether it's the Buddha or his disciple or观世音菩萨, not so critical, because it's the teaching itself. After all, at this point, it's not观世音菩萨speaking to you. But if it makes sense, it makes sense, Yeah. But like last week, one student emailed me about this. So I sort of, not that I brushed her off, but I just reply as I always do, like, okay, as I've explained in class. Then again, she replied and said, no, but, so is it this or not? Because for her, she says, from the looks of the sutra, it seems very clearly that, is观世音菩萨involved? There's no mention about Buddha or anywhere. So I was like, okay, fine. Let me just do one final check. And somehow, when I look through, this time around I really spent a lot more time. And I was like, okay, fine. So let me set the record straight here for everybody. In most of the translations, it goes like this, that the Buddha was at Vulture's Peak. Yeah, Vulture's Peak is in India, Rajgir. Yeah. If you go today, there is this cable car. Yeah. But when you think of cable car, don't think of the cable car like Singapore cable car. It's basically a cable seat. Yeah. A cable with seats hanging from it. And with this latch that doesn't really latch. It's just a bar that sits on. And you have to hold the latch tight to make sure it's in place. Anyway, you go up and then there's some walk up. Then you reach this platform. Okay? It is said that the Buddha was on that platform when he delivered this sutra. And then I saw a few slightly different renderings as well. Yeah. So there's one rendering that I thought is quite interesting. It goes that I often mention how Venerable Sariputra would ask the question, how does a person who has aspired to become a Buddha, how does such a person practice? This is a similar question that can be found in the Diamond Sutra, which is often said to be what the sutra is, and this is like a summary. And then there's one even larger than that, the Mahaprajna Paramita Sutra, which is like super voluminous. Similar questions asked, but in those sutra is Venerable Subhuti and not Venerable Sariputra. Yeah. Further, the asking of the question, in some renderings, Venerable Sariputra start off immediately asking. Yeah. But in one of them, the order is slightly different. Yeah. So here, 观自在菩萨行深般若波罗蜜多时，照见五蕴皆空，度一切苦厄. Yeah. So in one of the rendering, it says that观世音菩萨, through the Buddha's, almost like through his assistance or through his 加持, yeah. Then he entered into this, into deep practice, yeah, of jhana, and then through this jhana, yeah, practice the perfection, yeah, perfect the wisdom, and then he saw that the 5 aggregates are basically empty. Yeah. Empty in what sense? In the sense that we have explained. Yeah. And it is at this point that Venerable Sariputra then asked the question. In a way then, if you look at this, if you turn to the next page, page 10, then this text is really like the summary until some details may have been left out. Yeah. So if you were to take the other summaries or the other translations as a reference, then it basically would be that Venerable Sariputra at this point, ask a question. Ask this观世音 菩萨who observed this and say, well, in which case, if it's empty, then how does a person practice? How should a person look at this world? Yeah. Then观世音 菩萨gave the explanation. Yeah. Why is it empty? Yeah. How do you practice? Well, because if you observe carefully, form and emptiness, they are not different. They are not apart. Yeah. They are not different. They are not apart. Yeah. So after this round of searching, looking through the different translations, a thought came to me. Should I go and print out all the different translations and and then teach all the different translations? And then I wondered to myself, why did Xuanzang Dashi, because the one that we are reading is mainly from Xuanzang Dashi. So I was wondering, Xuanzang Dashi is not some Tom, Dick and Harry, He's not a guy who just trivially anyhow, Why did he choose this particular rendering? I don't have an answer yet. Yeah, why he chose this rendering? Why did he omit out some details? Yeah. My own teacher, when he gave teachings, he often highlight that the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas are very compassionate. They don't leave things uncovered. Yeah? Or rather, they don't leave things unexplained. Yeah? They would explain everything clearly. Yeah? They wouldn't just gloss over it. Yeah? So I have no idea. If one day I meet Xuanzang Dashi, I'll let you know, okay? But what I can say is, the essence here remains unchanged. The order, whether观世音 菩萨went into the deep concentration and then do this observation first, or whether Venerable Sariputra asked the question first, that to me is still okay. Yeah? But the reply in all those translations that I found, are all from观世音 菩萨. Yeah. So if you previously heard me mention about my teacher, highlighting that it's spoken by the Buddha, you can revise that. Yeah, because according to the translations I found in the Chinese Mahayana Tripitaka, it says clearly that观世音 菩萨is the one who did the reply. Yeah. In this translation that we are using, the one from Xuanzang Dashi, there's no clear declaration whether it's观世音 菩萨or the Buddha. Because usually in the sutra, when the disciple address the master, you'll be someone by somebody yan. Yeah. So like 舍利佛 by 佛言. Yeah. By it means to address. Yeah, address. And then addressing him, say. But if the Buddha were to just speak to his disciple, then they don't use the word by. By is a bit like politely address. Yeah. Usually you'll be directly 世尊言. Yeah, the Buddha says, just directly say. So in the other translations, then there's all these things mentioned. So just for clarity, I want to thank that Sister Swan, for highlighting this. So if you are still confused, then it's not my fault. I already clarified. Yeah, but as I said, to me, if you don't know, or if you are a bit confused about this part, just make sure that you are not confused about the emptiness part. Because this part is the crucial thing. Okay? So when 观自在菩萨行深般若波罗蜜多时, when 观世音菩萨, when we say that he practiced the perfection of wisdom, in deep concentration, and he saw that the five aggregates are empty. What do we mean by that? So previously we went through quite a bit on what the 5 aggregates are. Yeah? Forms, feelings, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. These are the 5 aggregates. And these 5 aggregates can be mapped to the 12 domains. Eye, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Form, smell, taste, touch, and mental objects. So, can we do this experiment? And as I think I've done with you all before. If you were to switch off your ability to see, yeah. If I snap my finger and imagine. If anybody lose your sight, it's not my fault. Just imagine. Imagine if I were to switch off your sight now. Would this place be distinguishable with, let's say, Bishan Junction 8? Is it distinguishable? Yes and no, huh? In terms of the overall experience, it's still different. In terms of visible sight, then there's no difference. If I were to further switch off your sense of hearing, then lesser differences. If I were to switch off one by one all the senses that we have, until you are left with your mind, then is there any more difference between this place and Bishan Junction 8? Is there any more difference? Wouldn't be any difference, isn't it? Yeah? It's just our mind left. If in our mind, we can perhaps remember that we were here, yeah, or there, isn't it? But because we cannot perceive the external world anymore, would you know whether you are here or there? You will just, if only the mind is left, then you can only think about whether you are here or there. But you wouldn't know whether you are here or there. Isn't it? Now, if we were to even switch off the mind, then do you even know whether you exist? Not to mention whether you are here or there. Is there a you to speak of at the first place? That is perhaps why the Buddha described, when someone asked him, the all, what is the all? And the Buddha declared that beyond the eye, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, beyond the form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mental object, there's no the all to be said. If anybody tried to establish the all beyond these 12 things, it cannot be done. Yeah. And of course, when we say the all, it is referring to all phenomena. Yeah. All phenomena. What we call 诸法. 诸法. Chu means all or various. In this case, all. Okay? So, this is a very interesting way to look at things, because when the Buddha, or in this case when观世音菩萨do the contemplation, he didn't just contemplate on tables and chairs or laksa, yeah, but he just contemplate directly on the 5 aggregates. If you look at laksa itself, the whole of laksa is basically the form aggregate. Yeah, these are all physical things. Yeah, and all the other aspects are our mental portion. Our experience of it is also the mental portion. Yeah. In which case, the way, the approach is to directly go into the fundamental building blocks. So let me draw you a map, a mapping table. So we have the 5 aggregates. So we have forms, feelings, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. This is just in the order that we usually learn them, so not in order of importance whatsoever. Now, these are the building blocks, and it is, you can say that our experience of laksa, whether it's laksa or chairs, or people, can be subsumed under this. Even ourselves can be broken down into any of these 5. These 5 maps to eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Forms, sounds, smell, taste, touch, and mental object. So, to give you an example, it is like there's a variety of people here, but if you look at us physically, we're all hydrocarbon and phosphor and what have you got. If we look at this, what is this? Very good. By the 4th lesson, don't really know what is this anymore. So actually, technically, this is not a cup because it has a handle. So it's a mug. Tricky monk. So, what am I drinking? It's clear. We typically call it water. But we know that water is H2O as well. And so, any of the characteristics or any of the findings about H2O can be applied to any kind of fluid that has water. Isn't it? So, in this sutra, like many others, the Buddha and Kwanseum菩萨would just directly refer to 5 aggregates. 5 aggregates. He don't refer to you, he don't refer to your auntie, your uncle, your husband or wife. He don't refer to specific individuals. Neither is there direct mention about tables and chairs. I sometimes find that that's perhaps the reason why when we look at the sutras, when we look at the Buddha's explanation of things and analysis of things, sometimes it feels a bit distant. Okay? It feels a bit distant. But it doesn't mean that the Buddha is wrong. It's just that when the teachings go straight into the 5 aggregates, it is the fundamental building blocks that everything sits on. So when Kwanseum菩萨observed that the 5 aggregates are dependent on conditions, to arise, to exist, and hence empty, he don't have to further go into tables, or this kind of table, or this kind of chair, and then another kind of chair. How about stools? How about benches? He don't have to go through all the different types. Yeah, he just go into the principle of it. Yeah, the fundamental building blocks. When he observed that the fundamental building block is like that, then basically everything is like that. Can you understand? Yeah? So, each time when you see some sutras mention about the 5 aggregates, you can basically assume that it applies to everything. The challenge is for us to go and apply. The difficult part is to go and apply to everything. Question? 照见. Yeah. Yes. Yes. So, this to observe and see directly. I use that to translate the word 照见. Yeah, 照见. Why we say observe directly? Well, because before we are able to do that, we think we see things directly. Like, do you all see me? Can you all see me? Can you all hear me? Yeah, but in fact, the moment we open our eyes, we don't really see directly. For most people, anyway. I've done the write something experiment with you all, right? Yeah. Through the experiment, we can see that when we see something, when we think we see something, it is not just our eyes and eye consciousness seeing. It's also the mind interpreting. Yeah. So in our day-to-day life, it is not direct seeing. It's we interpreting things outside. Now, if our interpretation is correct, then there's no problem. Unfortunately, oftentimes, our interpretation is colored. It's colored. And as a result, some of us find that laksa is tasty. And sometimes it's not. Now, that's not the worst problem yet. It's when we interpret that our perception that is tasty is the truth. And insist. Then you end up having people arguing. Hey, that day I went to try this laksa. Wow, really nice. Where? No, Gongmingsan, no. Gongmingsan laksa, where got nice? You stupid. Oh, it's nice, huh? Is it nice? Say yes. Yes. Oh, we are recording, no. Oh, jialat, you say it not nice. No, I mean, at least under these current conditions, it's pretty nice to me, okay? Yeah, but there are people who will really get into argument. And the problem, why there's argument is because when two persons feel so strongly about food, then sometimes we forget about that the taste itself is really dependent on so many conditions and not direct. We're not tasting it directly. It's plus a lot of things already. It's plus a lot of things. And as a result, sometimes all it takes is one person to make some remark. Like, "Allah, I don't know how you taste. I think it's called tasty." Oh, then we feel insulted. And there's so many layers here. After that statement, it's no longer about the laksa, It's about what you are saying about me. You think my taste that's a problem. But if we are to continually apply this, then you realize that, well, what he say doesn't make me so, isn't it? Yeah? It's because my taste has no problem. It's not inherently with problem. That's why he has to say that my taste have problem. The chair is not the chair, that's why it's called a chair. So when someone say that you are like this or like that, you realize that it's meaningless. It is just a convention. What it really says is what is in his mind. He has seen that your taste got problem. But that's just his perception, isn't it? Yeah. So directly you can see how perhaps that if you are able to, and this is not about just psychoing yourself, but this is really seeing that, well, in fact, isn't it true? If I were to, let's say, find anybody would like to volunteer for, okay, how about you? I know him. Yeah. If I were to say that, okay, can steady today. If I were to say that he is a beautiful girl, is he a beautiful girl? He's quite handsome. Well, when he came for the novice retreat, I was like, wow, Jing Chen Wu is here. the whole retreat, everybody. Yeah. No, but if I were to say that he's a beautiful girl, would you all agree? You wouldn't agree. Why? Huh? You are the beautiful girl. There can be more than one beautiful girl. Yeah, but besides the fact that he's not a beautiful girl, he's not a girl to begin with. Yeah, but also just declaring him as a beautiful girl doesn't make him a beautiful girl. Understand? Now you may think that, but the person did say that, you know. Yeah, but yes, the person did say that. Now think about it. When people praise you and say, "Oh, you're very smart, leh," the person also just said that one. But yet we are quite happy with that. We quite readily agree with it. Yeah. So we are quite selective, you know. We are quite selective. Yeah. Yeah, selective hearing. Yeah. But in a way, we take both seriously. That's the problem. When people praise us, we take it seriously. Yeah, I'm really that good. But as Chinese, no lah. No. Then the person must say more. No, you are really good. No. Don't say that. But actually inside, say more. When people scold us, maybe next time we should do that, you know. When people scold us, we should, no, don't say that. No. And smile. If you do that, the person will be super confused. Like, hey, stupid are you? No. No, don't say that. Paiseh. No. But intuitively, we don't do that, you know. Intuitively, we take it very seriously. Yeah. And this is one of the level. You see, when we go through the laksa, the name is almost like a passing comment. Yeah. To realize that the name itself is dependent arising and empty is almost like a passing comment. And it almost seems like, yeah, of course everybody know that it's not really a chair. Yeah, it's just called a chair. But human beings, we as humans, we become so attached to the meaning that we tie to the name. That the moment you see the word CHAIR, immediately you think of a chair. It can be any kind of chair, but we immediately think of that. Yeah. Likewise, when someone say, "Why are you so stupid?" immediately you think of what is stupid. Yeah. But the thing is that even as we agree to it, the word chair itself cannot let you sit. You cannot sit on the word chair. It is just conventionally linked. And it requires all our agreement, all our involvement, to use this as a means of communication. And that's all it is. So when people say that you are this or that, they are just communicating to you what is in their mind. it doesn't actually directly mean that you are this or that. So even if you, so in this case, I hope you can see quite clearly how 观自在菩萨行深般若波罗蜜多时，照见无人皆空，度一切苦厄. If you can see this, at least you would have removed part of your suffering, you know. But you notice that if you truly see this, you don't just remove suffering, you also remove part of your happiness when people praise you. Why? Because that kind of happiness is worldly happiness. When people praise you and you feel, that is worldly happiness. And this worldly happiness comes with a price. Comes with a price. If you accept worldly happiness, you must accept worldly suffering. They come as a pair. They are twin sisters. Or brothers lah. But in the sutra, the parable have the description of the twin sisters. My teacher mentioned to us this parable in one of the sutra. So one day this person was resting, and then late at night there was a knock on the door. He went to open the door, and then he saw that there was this beautiful lady at the door. And he was like, hello. And then she says, I'd like to come in, He asked, like, who are you? What can I do for you? And she says, my name is, the Chinese word is Guangming, basically light. And I bring to people joy, happiness, life, wealth, everything good. Let me come in, and you shall enjoy all that. And then he was like, oh, sure, come on in. Then the moment she stepped in, wow, he experienced all the different things that she promised. And just shortly after that, he got another knock on the door. So, what can go wrong tonight? So he went to in the sutra there's no this part. It's just my... I have to qualify, okay? Have to qualify. Storyteller. So he went to the door, and this time when he opened up, there was this hideous women, ugly, and Then he was like, oh, what do you want? Like, who are you? I said, oh, I'm darkness. I bring decay. I bring death. I bring sickness. I bring loss. I bring pain, suffering, sorrow, grief, anguish, all the things. And he said, well, why would I want you to come in? So he was going to close, and he said, no, stop. The lady said, stop. I said, why? Well, did you have an earlier guest, who come to you saying that her name is Light? They said, oh yeah, how do you know? And she promised you life, youth, health, wealth, and all the good things in life. They said, happiness. Well, she's my twin sister. She is light and I'm darkness. Wherever she goes, I get to go. You cannot resist me if you accept her. And then this man thought for a while, do you think this man should accept her? Nobody wants that. Everybody wants the first, but not the second. But there's no way. So he thought, okay lah, come. Because the first sister is too irresistible. So then, through that, then the first man died. Then, after that, the two sisters went on to the second house. Again, the same thing happened. But for the second person, when the second sister came in, then he thought, well, is that the price for having all this? That if I were to accept the first sister, I must have the second sister as well. Well, in that case, then both of you leave. I want neither of you. Because that is too much a price. If I have to, if in order to enjoy life, I must die, I must experience pain and all this, then what's the point? Yeah, it's not true happiness, it's not true joy if it comes with this. So he vanquished the two. In the first case, that is a description for worldlings, those who go through samsara. Once you accept birth, you must accept death. And you go through this again and again and again. After losing some worldly happiness, we crave for more. Yeah? We yearn for more. And we go and grasp on to new existence, new ones. Yeah? But the nature of it is to be lost. The second house is representative of those who have seen through the view of this dual, this pair, yeah, and those who reject this pair are those who are enlightened, yeah, have gone beyond worldly happiness and worldly suffering. In this case, those who have observed truly that the five aggregates are indeed dependent on conditions to exist, to arise, and hence empty of any inherent nature, rightly seeing, then you would come to the same conclusion as the Buddha did, as all the enlightened bodhisattvas did, as all the arahants did. That, in fact, there's nothing so substantial and inherent. Then it's no longer just not being upset when people scold you. But it's that then you see things very differently. You see directly. You are no longer drawn to this and that simply on the surface. Yeah? You see that it's not so much of letting go, but there wasn't anything that you can truly hold on to begin with. When we first learn Buddhism, oftentimes we come to Buddhism because there's something that we may find something missing, something is a bit odd. Yeah? Or maybe there's some, for many people, we come to Buddhism to overcome pain or anger or frustration. Yeah? And one of the key messages that we often see floating around is, let go. Yeah. Those who have been attending my classes will know that I seldom tell people to let go. Not that I cannot let go, so I don't tell you to let go. Yeah. But I have come to realize that it is not easy to let go. Because if it's so easy that I just tell you let go and you can let go, then you don't need to come and attend a 10-week class, If it's so easy, then you would have let go by now. Because there's so many books, so many talks that keep talking about letting go. The truth is, there's no letting go. Because at our stage, we don't see this. We don't see that they are all empty. And because we see that, in fact, it's very tangible. It's very real. When someone praises us, it feels very real. And our heart just goes, oh. And when someone scolds us, we also, yeah? So, how to let go in this way? So truly, when we don't see correctly, there's no letting go. But for those who are enlightened, there's also no letting go. Because when they see clearly, there's nothing to let go. Just like this morning, or last night perhaps, I had this dream. And sometimes my dream there are multiple episodes, Yeah. Sometimes I will often dream about being overseas and trying to catch a flight back. Yeah. And then yesterday was very funny because when I woke up, I remembered one interesting detail that kind of escaped me in previous dreams. And it was that because someone gave me something, and so now my luggage is overload. Now, those who traveled with me before, you know that usually I just carry one of my sengtai. But in the dream, I had multiple bags, And I was like, oh, Jella, how to go back? But then the moment I wake up, you know that it's a dream? Do you have to tell yourself, okay, don't worry, yeah, you can catch a flight back? Do I have to even think about that? No longer. But when you're in the dream, you can get quite, excited, yeah, or flustered, if you will. Sometimes you may have a dream of ghosts chasing you, or dogs coming after you, or whatever, yeah. Or like last time I used to have dreams about picking up coins. Wow, got 20 cents here. Hey, got $1. Got so many coins. Wow, all over the place, Yeah. This is latent greed, that. But when you wake up, no more coins, Do you have to tell yourself, let go of the coin, let go? No, you know that it's a dream. In the same way, when the enlightened ones see clearly how things are, they don't have to try to let go anymore. Because they realize that this is all just a game, just a dream. Passing illusion. Passing illusion. We don't say that it don't exist, but it's just a momentary existence. So it's not substantial. And so for those, if you can understand this and see this to this degree, then to this degree, you will quite naturally not hold on to it. There's no need to force yourself. And that's why I often tell people, don't directly let go. And you notice that in the whole practice, in the actual practice that the Buddha advised, there's no step that says, and the monk forced himself to let go. No. It is always through direct seeing. And when you see in this way, revulsion arises. Dispassion arises. Yeah. That's the attachment craving do not arise anymore. It is like if you were to switch off the light. Have I explained to you all about switching off the light? Yes, huh? There's no need to do that. Yeah. And that's why we say, 照见无因皆空, 度一切苦厄. All suffering come to an end. Not just the immediate one, but future suffering. No more suffering. Yeah. Put a complete end. Now we can go quite a bit about suffering, but this time round I intend to cover it later when we touch on the Four Noble Truths. Okay? But in brief, know that in all the six different realms, in all the different states of existence, there are different forms of sufferings. Yeah? We have gone through the 3 types of suffering, right? No, not in this class. Wow, okay, later. Yeah? 8 types of suffering, also haven't covered. Okay, later. So, all kinds of suffering put to the end. Next. 舍利子，色不异空，空不异色，色即是空，空即是色，受想行识亦复如是。Sariputra. So, who is Sariputra? In some of the translation, they wrongly suggest that Sariputra has other meaning. Selizi. So, do you know what is Selizi? It is not the relics, huh? It happened to be the same writing. Sometimes when I'm doing the translation with my Dharma brother, I wonder, why do they keep choosing the same letters? The same characters. Confuse the hell out of us. But anyway, there are some translations out there that wrongly suggest that, this is 1, the relics. 2, then some suggest that this is the way the Buddha referred to all his disciples. Yeah, but this is all not correct, huh? Because this is basically, Seli is the mother. The word sari, not our sari, But the word sari is a name of a bird. This is a bird's name. This bird has very beautiful eyes. Yeah, very lovely eyes. Now, Venerable Sariputra's mother, when she was born, it was remarked that her eyes are so beautiful. And so she was named after the bird. Yeah, because of her beautiful eyes, just like the bird. According to my teacher, the Chinese name for this bird is Chun Ying. Yeah, Chun Ying. Yeah. But in Singapore, we only know myna la, crow la, maybe once in a while swallow. Yeah, but Chun Ying, Chun Ying. Yeah, so this Se Li Zhi, the Sari Putra. The word Putra is Zhi. In some of the earlier translation, they translate as Se Li Fu. Yeah, Se Li Fu or Se Li Fu Tuo. Yeah, so Sariputra. So it's basically Se Li E Kia. You understand? Se Li E Kia. Why? Because his original name is actually Upatissa. His original name is Upatissa. Yeah. His good friend, Venerable Mahamoggallana, has similar connotations. Yeah, even at the Buddha's time, some of their names are actually named after the place that they are born in. Yeah. So, from this, just a side trivia, you will know that the giving of Dharma name was actually not common in the Buddha's time. Yeah, oftentimes his disciples are just known as the way they are. Yeah, so not given some special name. Yeah, but today, after so many hundreds of years, thousands of years, the practice of giving Dharma name is common. Yeah, but it's not started by us. It started like 1,000 over years ago. Way back in China, in other countries, Sri Lanka, they started giving Dharma name. Today in Thailand, they sometimes would have a Dharma name, but they sometimes, for example, some of you may be familiar with the Tan Chun Kiang. Okay, so in a Thai tradition, when you become a monk, in many of them, their lineage, you're not given a special Dharma name. Yeah. So let's say if your surname is Lim, yeah, like mine, then you are Venerable Lim. Yeah. For us, a bit odd. Yeah. But from this, we can see that it's actually quite normal last time. No? So, Se Li Zhi, this is the Venerable Sariputra. He is declared by the Buddha as the Dharma Marshal. Chief in wisdom. Chief in wisdom among his monastic disciples. The Buddha has various chief disciples. Yeah, he is one of them. When he met the Buddha, he went with his good friend, Venerable Mahamoggallana. There's some background story behind that. The two of them were very good friends. They were rich young men. So one time they organized this show, invited all their friends, a few hundred of them, and then they organized this almost like, last time we have Sipan. Yeah, nowadays anybody can go to the cinema. Yeah, last time only the rich people can invite the troupe to perform, and then maybe have one for the people to watch. Yeah. So they were such wealthy people, and they watched for 3 days, 3 nights. Yeah, or maybe just 3 days. The night they go back and sleep. So after the first night, they went back. Then on the second day, as they are watching, they felt, And then when they went back separately, they both had this thought. These performers, they give us happiness. They make us laugh. They bring us joy. But are they themselves free of suffering? Are they able to be happy throughout? If they are not, if they are still subject to pain, subject to aging, sickness and death, if they are still subject to suffering, sorrow, grief, then the happiness that they give us cannot be of true happiness. How many of us, when you're watching a movie, think in this way? Yeah, or when you watch what is the award for movie? Is it Oscar? Yeah, the man with the golden man. Yeah, wow, they all look so glamorous. And then go the red carpet treatment. Yeah, that's what they do, right? They go there. In a few hundred years ago, or 1,000 years ago, performers are not seen in this way. Yeah, yeah. In some texts, in many civilizations, they are seen as, I give you a coin, you perform. Yeah. Not suggesting that we should go back that way and then start throwing coins and liu de hua, right? Come perform, jump. But if you honestly think about it, but for the two good friends, they had this thought. So then they decided separately. They didn't have WhatsApp and then, hey dude. They didn't have WhatsApp, so they didn't discuss. But they separately came to this conclusion. If they are not truly free of suffering, the happiness they give us is not true happiness. For what purpose do I still indulge in this kind of happiness? So they decided they must find true happiness. They must find the ending of suffering. Yeah. So when they both came on the third day, they had this thought. Let me tell my good friend that he can continue watching, but I'm going to go off. But the moment they meet each other, you know how sometimes when you're very close with someone, yeah, without even speaking, you know that person has something in their mind. And they both look at each other. I have something to tell you. I also have something to tell you. Okay, you go ahead first. So Venerable Sariputra declared his thoughts, and Venerable Mahamoggallana was like, I have exactly the same thought. Yeah, so why don't we both just go and leave our friends to watch the show? They said, yeah, okay, let's do that. So they told their friends that they have come to this conclusion, and that everything is paid for, they can just enjoy themselves. But the friends said, no, but without you, then it's meaningless. If you're going to go and search for the truth, we're going with you. Oh, how many of you, when your friends say, hey, Sunday, let's go someplace, go for a cruise or something. Then you say, no, I'm going for Heart Sutra. Then your friends say, if you're going Heart Sutra, I'm going Heart Sutra. Tang gu gu. Not so easy. So that's how the two of them, with a few hundred friends, all became ascetics. But they didn't even immediately become the Buddha's disciple. Yeah? They learned from various teachers, until one day Venerable Sariputra chanced upon one Venerable. Venerable Asaji, yes. Venerable Asaji. And then he saw Venerable Asaji walk past. And this portion is often highlighted as an example of the importance of our grace and the way we carry ourselves. But there's something else that's more important. When Venerable Sariputra saw the grace and the aura, the charisma of Venerable Asaji, without him even giving a Dhamma talk, he was just going mindfully on the alms round, and Venerable Sariputra was like, oh, this person is quite something, very impressive. There's this air of calmness and serenity in him. Yeah. Maybe he has found the truth. But this is not the time to ask. Yeah, he's going on in his arms round. Let me follow him. Yeah, and wait until it's the right time. So he followed him. He let him settle down, and I think let him eat first. Then he asked. Then he approached him and said, "Yeah, good sir, you who is your teacher? What does your teacher teach? Yeah, under who do you learn? Yeah." And then Venerable Asaji declared that he trained under the Buddha. He's a disciple of the Buddha. But Venerable Asaji was very humble. He said, and also the truth. He said, "I'm newly ordained. Yeah, not for too long. I can only tell you his teachings in brief." So then he said, "Well, then quick, just tell me." Then Venerable Asaji said, 此有故彼有，此无故彼无。我佛大沙门常作如是说。And with that, Venerable Sariputra became enlightened. So how many of you are enlightened already? Yeah, I've said this in the past almost 9 years, so many times. Yeah, don't know whether I'm maybe a bit more, but not quite yet. Yeah. When he became enlightened, then he thought about his good friend. Because before this happened, they both had an agreement. Let's go and look for a teacher, and whoever finds the truth first shall tell the other. They made this pact. Yeah. So he remembered his promise. He went to see Venerable Mahamoggallana. The moment that they met, immediately Venerable Mahamoggallana, 心灵相通, have you found the truth? Yes, I have found the truth. Quick, tell me. So again, Venerable Sariputra repeated the same verses. And Venerable Mahamoggallana, he also became enlightened. Yeah, but not fully enlightened yet. That's the first stage. Yeah, first stage. The two of them wanted their teacher to join them. Yeah, but the teacher resisted. The teacher said, "I'm already so senior, so elderly, and respected by so many people. If I were to now go and learn under another person, then what is to become of me?" So pride is a very dangerous thing, even if it's the pride of a teacher. Yeah. So the two of them went to see the Buddha, but before they arrived, the Buddha declared to the monks, "The two chief disciples of the Buddha is coming." Yeah, the Buddha knows. And when they arrive, I present to you the two chief disciples. So the Buddha gave them the teachings in brief, then they went to practice. Venerable Mahamoggallana is said to have attained Arahanthood within a week. And then subsequently, Venerable Sariputra attained Arahanthood as well. Yeah. How? Want to try? For more information, call now 6849-5300. I mean, if you think about it, right, that must have been such a compelling message, when word spread. It's like, "Hey, what you learn here? That side, walao, sit steady, no. Just 1 week, 搞定, no." Yeah. Can you imagine how people will spread the news like, "Hey, that, 舍利也见, oh, now Arahant, Yeah, so it must have been quite impactful. Yeah. Not just the two of them, but many others. So this such person, Venerable Sariputra, asked the question, and this is the reply. The reply goes, 舍利子，色不异空，空不异色，色即是空，空即是色。受想行识，亦复如是。So, I want to highlight first, if you were to look at the translation, I have given a brief explanation already, but I want you to turn over to page 4 so that you can see all the words together. And that may help you to see a bigger picture. The English translation is in page 5, so feel free to combine the two, okay? So over here, 色力子，色不异空，空不异色，色即是空，空即是色。受想行识，亦复如是。So the first line here is all about what relation form and emptiness have. Okay? What is the how is form and emptiness related? And then if you look at the subsequent line, 受想行识，亦复如是。色受想行识。What is this? Yes, this is none other than the 5 aggregates. That's basically saying form is of a certain feature. Yeah, form is like this. Feelings, perception, mental formations, and consciousness is likewise like this. Yeah, so this is basically a way to suggest, or not to suggest, but basically it's an expansion of the earlier statement. 照见五蕴皆空，度一切苦厄。This is an expansion of the 五蕴. Yeah? 五蕴 is the 5 aggregates. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah? 色受想行识. This 5 is basically what we call 五蕴, the 5 aggregates. So when we say 色不异空, likewise 受不异空. When we say 空不异色, likewise 空不异受. Yeah? And the same goes for 想不异空, 行不异空, 识不异空. 空不异想, 空不异行, 空不异识. But you notice that if we expand out totally, wow, the whole sutra becomes quite a mouthful. Yeah. So this is a way to express the same thing, but help us to focus on the principle, yeah, and then just leave it to you to apply throughout. In the Mahaprajna Paripurna Sutra, if you go and read, then a lot of these sections are fully expanded. If you look at the Pali Canon, oftentimes you see a lot of this fully expanded, yeah, but in the printed translation, they will have abridging. They will put ... Yeah, ... Yeah, this is called abridging. Yeah, so they will just highlight the first one, then the subsequent ones they will just put the difference. In this case, the difference is forms. Then forms is not different from emptiness. Then ... Yeah, then feelings is not different from emptiness. ... And you're supposed to know that it is the same thing. Oh, yeah. There is value in doing that. The value is that for us, at least today, when we see too much repetition, sometimes your mind just shut off, and you lose the message altogether. Yeah. But sometimes, for me, when I read those texts, those translations with abridging, sometimes I force myself to reread with the abridging expanded. Yeah. And the purpose of doing that is to commit it to my memory, yeah, the full text. Yeah. To leave that impression. Because after all, that's the full meaning. So do it either way, the way that works for you. Yeah. Then we come back to the text again, the notes. 色不异空，空不异色. Form is not different from emptiness. So here form refers to physical form. Okay? As part of the 5 aggregates, sa refers to physical form. But as we have gone through in numerous ways, what is physical form inexistent by itself? Physical form is dependent on the 4 elements. Yeah? Earth, water, fire, wind. Yeah. And then earth, water, fire, wind is the lower layer. The upper layer, we have different materials. Then from the different materials, we form all the different things we have. Yeah. So all these are dependent on conditions, different things to come together. Yeah. From the most complex things like let's say a clock. Yeah. A clock inside have gears. This battery, the hands, all kinds of parts. Yeah. So it depends on all this, a lot of different things. A phone requires, likewise, it has a battery, it has screen, plastic, metal, all kinds of things. Yeah. Silicon. So physical form depends on conditions to arise. Yeah. But they can all be broken down to the 4 elements. How about feelings? How does feeling arise? So we have form, we have different physical parts, and then we can break it down to the 4 elements. We have feelings, and as I've mentioned before, it's also better to translate as sensations. We have perceptions. We have mental formation. And we have consciousness. So I've explained before that feelings arise through contact. Perception can arise through this also, likewise mental formation. And the 3 together, they can influence each other. Yeah? They can be the conditions for each other to arise. But for the contact itself, it requires consciousness. It requires sense base and sense object. Contact is the coming of these 3. Yeah. So indirectly, feelings, perception, mental formations requires sense base, sense object, and consciousness to come together. Then they can arise. Have I lost anyone? No? If I were to refer to my earlier notes, I draw it in a slightly different way. Yeah. Sense base. This is from this class. Yeah. This is 2 weeks ago. Sense base, sense object. These 2 together give rise to consciousness. These 3 together is called contact. Contact as a basis, then it gives rise to. This is contact. Then contact as a basis give rise to feelings. Yeah. Then from feelings you give rise, all this give rise to each other. Yeah. And the thing just become a mess. Yeah. So consciousness itself depends on this. Yeah. So take note of the arrow direction. The arrow direction implies that the one. When it points in this direction, it means this depends on this. Okay? When it points in this direction, it means this depends on this. Yeah? Now this is just the theory part. This is just the theory part. How do you affirm and verify this? Then you must sing shen pura pura mito. You must go and meditate. Yeah. And I assure you that even if you have not sing shen yet, if you sing qian bo lo mi do, you will appreciate this a bit better. Yeah, 行浅波罗波罗蜜多，没有看到五蕴皆空，看到有些东西空，所以度了一点苦厄。Yeah. So this is how we look at the 5 aggregates and how we see that they are all in fact dependent on other things. Yeah. And if you take this out and you look at this again, hey, it seems like we are very solid, we are very independent. But when you really take any of these parts, go back and think about it, and try to go and observe, you will probably come to the same conclusion as the Buddha did, yeah, as观世音菩萨did, as all the Bodhisattvas, the Arahants, and all the masters did it. Yeah, that in fact, none of these are independent. They all depend on, they are not dependent, they are interdependent. Yeah, they exist in dependence on others, to exist, to arise. Yeah, and when there are no more conditions, then they cease to exist. Yeah. So the same we say for forms, the same can be said for feelings, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. And since, if we can, up to this point, at least in theory, okay, yeah, in class, no matter how I explain, it's still just theory. Yeah, the verification part you must verify yourself. I can't do that for you. So at least if you can agree in concept and in theory that this is the case, then we say the form which is dependent arising is of course empty. Yeah? And in which case then, 色不异空, easy to understand. Then if you say the emptiness of form, can you establish the emptiness of form apart from form? When you say laksa is empty, can you talk about the emptiness of laksa without talking about laksa? Cannot. 空不异色. Yeah. The emptiness and the things that arise due to conditions, they cannot be separated. Yeah, they cannot be separated. You cannot establish an emptiness apart from all these things. Apart from all these things, no emptiness to talk about. So emptiness, well, emptiness is not this thing, but yet it's this thing. Yeah, you cannot take it apart. Yeah? So 色不异空，空不异色。色即是空，空即是色。This part I must invoke my teacher's explanation, which is a 3-stage process. So, stage 1. When there's condition, and I'm going to use the typical example that he would use, and a common example is not laksa. A common example is a house or a building. So consider this building or this classroom. When there are conditions, then there's this classroom. Do you agree that this classroom exists now? Say yes. Of course it exists. So, with conditions, then the classroom exists. Yeah. So when there's conditions, then there's a classroom. So far, so good. So this is dependent arising existence. This is what we call 缘起有. But this classroom, when you take away the conditions, when you take apart the conditions, yeah, without conditions, does the classroom exist? When there's no more conditions, does the classroom exist? Everybody think about it first. Yeah, those who say no, raise your hand. We need everybody to raise your hand before we can continue. Okay, of course, without conditions, there's no more classroom. Huh? Classroom do not exist. If something cannot exist independently, then its nature is empty. Yeah, this is called 自性空. That is empty of inherent nature. So far, for these two statements, can we understand and agree? My handwriting sometimes can be quite doctorish. So far, so good. Okay. So, this is the classical approach for teaching dependent arising and emptiness. Yeah. There's some parallel with the approach I take, but here I want to introduce you to the classical approach also. So usually, Yuan Qi You is taught separately. First, you consider when something exists, you definitely need conditions. And because it needs conditions, then it exists, then it's called Yuan Qi You. Yeah, dependent arising existence. Without conditions, the thing just disappears. Since the thing cannot exist independently, yeah, and the moment you take things out, then the thing disappears. So it is empty of inherent nature, 自性空. So when the things don't exist, you can understand that it's 自性空. When the things exist, you can understand that it's 缘起有. The third stage is 1 plus 2. Even when it is existing, it is empty. Let me explain, okay? Yeah, but the gist of it is basically like that. Third stage, 1 and 2 is actually the same. 1 plus 2, or 1 equals to 2. The fact that this classroom depends on conditions to exist, and we call it dependent arising existence, is precisely because the classroom cannot be found inherently anywhere. It's precisely because it's empty of inherent nature. That's why in order for a classroom to arise, you need conditions. We say that the classroom is empty also precisely because it depends on conditions. The two are basically describing the same thing. They're the same coin, just two different angles. If something, now we have 自性空. What if we say 自性有? 自性有 basically means something is inherent, independently existing. And if that's the case, then you don't need conditions. No matter how you change things, that will still be the way it is. And that's how we describe some people, isn't it? When we, let's say we find someone that we don't like. Yeah? Fella, no good. Then our friends may say, no lah, that's many years ago, the person has changed. No. That person, I tell you, never changed. When we say that, we are basically saying that he's inherently like this, or he's inherently like that. Yeah. But in fact, can you find something that is like that? In fact, we can't really find anything that's like that. But let me help you here before we wrap up. Many years back when I was in Puming Si, also covering the Heart Sutra, then one student, he was from the Scholars Program in NUS, then he asked, how about water? Well, water is water, what? How is, water is water, water is fluid. Isn't that inherently like that? So, in the past few years, we have had a few airline problem. Yeah, but this explanation was before that. I wasn't foretelling anything, okay? This is just how it happens. Think about it. When you have a plane flying, I hope none of you are going for some trips anytime soon. But don't worry. If it happens, it's because of conditions also. So, if consider this, in the ocean, if airline industries and all those investigators, they have discovered that there's a certain trend. Whenever planes, when they crash into the ocean, you often find it's very difficult to find big pieces. You often find just shattered small pieces. Yeah? So they question why this is the case. And they've discovered that the reason why this happens is because oftentimes when it's a crash into the sea, it is usually the transatlantic or trans-Pacific flights. And it means that by the time they crash, they would have been at a 30,000 feet high, that altitude. So at that height, if they lose power and they plunge, by the time they hit the ocean surface, not the floor, the surface, it would have reached a very high velocity. At that high velocity, the momentum, the impact, the force when they hit the water is so great. I'm not going to draw the plane, okay? It's too... so the force is so great that the water behave. One of the Newton's law, for any action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. Yeah. So when the force is so great, the water behave like concrete. And so when the plane crashes into the ocean, it is like hitting a concrete block, not the wave. Bam! It just go, and that is why oftentimes when plane crash into the ocean, it's very hard to find any parts. And if they do find any parts, it's all bits and pieces. And that's the reason. It's not because there's oftentimes there's an explosion also, but it's because of the impact. Yeah. Now, this is the thing I'm trying to explain here. The ocean itself is basically sea, yeah? And it's basically water, isn't it? You can say that, there's salt and whatever inside, but it's basically still water. At the point of impact, it behaves like concrete to the plane. But at the same time, there are fishes swimming inside, And there's still wave on the surface. So that same body of water behaves differently to two different things. To the plane, it is like concrete. But to the rest of the things that are swimming around, it is just water. So even water that we take for granted to be like this, it's not like this. It's not inherently like this. It would be funny if I were to splash now. Next week, half the class don't come. Yeah. Oh, with umbrella. So, even water. Water is not inherently fluid, the way we think. It depends on how you interact with it. And I will go one step further to even talk about earth, the earth element. And literally talking about the earth. In many of the major earthquakes, reports come in and they observe the ground not behaving like ground. And we're not talking about just landslide, but when there's so much movement, the earth behaves like a fluid. Yeah, there was a video and I saw this flow, and the description is that is not mud, that is soil. But when you look at the video, it doesn't look like soil, It looks like a river. Yeah. It is so agitated that the ground itself behaves like a fluid. Yeah. There's no solidness even in something as solid as the ground. Given the right conditions, it behaves differently. Yeah. We can go on with quite a lot of examples. The point is that if even something so fundamental like the physical objects is not inherently physical, then what is inherent? And according to the Buddha and Kuan Yin Pusa in this case, they found that there's nothing inherent in this world. Nothing whatsoever. When we come back next week, we go further from this and then explore from what else is there. Again, please continue to do your exercise, because moving forward, then we'll cover human. Okay? Put our palms together. 愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，不愿罪障悉消除，世世常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛，起立。诸位至诚，礼佛行三问讯礼，一问讯，再问讯，三问讯。Till we meet again, may be guided and protected by the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And as always, 乖乖哈。